last couple layouts, I have used paper tape or washi tape that I made myself from tissue paper, and I have a longer Ustream class on this, but I thought I'd do a quick YouTube tutorial on it, mostly because I should be doing laundry and packing for CHA, but I don't really want to, so I'm going to film a video instead. So I've just taken regular tissue paper, like gift wrap paper, and I'm covering it with strips of double-sided tape. Like, I've used both score tape and I'm also using Miracle tape, and I'm using 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1 inch strips. And you see how I flip the tissue paper over and put it on both sides? One side of the tissue paper is shinier than the other, and so you can get, you know, a shinier tissue tape and a more matte tissue tape from the same sheet of the tissue paper by just putting the paper on, or the tape on different sides of the paper. And then I basically just tear the strips off the tissue tape, or tissue paper rather, and then I trim the edges with my scissors to get them nice and straight. And then I peel the backing off and stick them to a nonstick craft sheet. And you want to keep that backing because that's how you're going to store them. And so to color them, I like to use Distress Stain. And this is squeezed lemon. And it's a nice bright yellow. And I just cover the tape, and then I go over with a paper towel to get any excess moisture. You know, I don't want to saturate it and leave it sitting in a pool of ink. And then I'm going to peel it off my sheet, stick it to its backing lightly, you know, just so it's stuck in a couple of places, and then set it aside to dry. And I'm going to keep working. So that was my first 1 inch piece. This is my second 1 inch piece, which I'm covering with Spun Sugar Distress Stain. And then here's two half inch pieces that are getting Tumbled Glass Distress Stain. And these are 1/4 inch strips that are getting Worn Lipstick, Crushed Olive, and Peacock Feathers. And then here's a 1/2 inch and a 1/4 inch that are both getting Brushed Corduroy, which makes a really nice craft or brown paper bag color. And then a few of them I left white. So here I'm going to do a barcode washi, and I'm just going to use it white. And so I have this background stamp from Hot Off the Press, and it makes a great barcode, but any stamp you have that has stripes of different widths, like I know Hero Arts has a background stamp that has stripes of different widths, any stamp like that is going to work great. Just in black ink on plain white tissue tape is going to give you a really awesome barcode washi tape. Well, I mean, it's not washi tape because I'm not using washi paper. It's only washi tape if you use washi paper, but tissue tape. So this one is a gray on white damask, and this is just, again, another border stamp that's a damask flourish. And I'm just stamping it right down the middle. It goes off the edges, but it doesn't matter because it's still going to give me that feminine, sort of floral structured pattern that I'm looking for. And gray is a nice neutral to have if you're going to pre-make a bunch of tapes, if you don't have a pattern paper collection in mind for them. To do white and gray and white and craft are two really good ways to go. Now we're going to do pink wood grain for Valentine's Day. I'm going to use a stamp from Impression Obsession, and I'm using Colorbox ink in Rouge, I think. And I'm not worrying about lining it up. I could use a stamp positioner if I wanted to, but since you tear washi into pieces, I mean, you know, I'm not really that worried about it. It can have a casual look. It can be darker in areas and not as dark in others. I was right, it was Rouge. This Impression Obsession stamp is called Cover a Card Woodgrain. And now I'm going to do the yellow 1 inch piece, and I'm going to stamp with a Studio 490 chicken wire or screen door stamp, and I'm going to use the Rouge again, so I have pink on lemon. And again, I'm not being careful about lining it up. I'm not being careful about getting it perfect. Sometimes a distressed look is fun, especially with a stamp like this, which is a screen door. So I don't worry about getting it just right. It looks better a little aged and distressed. And then I put it right back on its strip. Remember to keep these strips, otherwise they're hard. This paper is hard to store. So I'm going to use 2 stamp sets now to create this 1/4 inch Adore definition. And I'm using an Adore stamp from Hampton Art Warehouse that I've cut into 3 pieces. And in between each piece, I'm putting a tiny heart from Hero Arts. And this Hero Arts heart just came from a Thinking of You sentiment stamp set. So when you sit down to do this, really go through your stamps, because you can find good images that'll work great for washi in unexpected places. You know, like this, the sentiment stamp was mostly words, but it did have this little heart border in there, and it works great on the thinner tapes. I'm going to use this heart a couple times. So I used red Jenny Bolin ink by Ranger over Worn Lipstick Distress Stain for this one. And the 2 stamp sets were Art Warehouse and Hero Arts. So there's that one. This next one is white Medallion on blue. The white is from Close to My Heart White Daisy, which is my favorite white ink. I've tested a lot of white inks, and this is the one I like the best out of all the ones I've tested. They also have a beautiful off-white and a beautiful cream. The off-white is called Colonial White, and the cream is called either Vanilla Cream or Vintage Cream. But those 3, I recommend all 3 of them. They're really, really nice. Really saturated color. Nice bright white. And I just put that over the 1/4 inch strip that I had done in the Peacock Feathers stain. And I'm just going to zoom in on this one, because that little stamp from My Mind's Eye, Sweet Caroline, it was a real cute little pom-pom looking circle. This stamp is also from My Mind's Eye, Miss Caroline, and it's a row of numbers, and I'm using 1 through 9 because the 10 kind of, it's too wide for the strip, so I'm skipping the 10. But that's okay. And again, I'm using the white pigment ink, the White Daisy from Close to My Heart, over the brushed corduroy, which is the craft color Distress Stain. And this is another border stamp from Hot Off the Press, and I'm using crushed olive Distress Stain and olive pastel ink, so kind of a tone on tone, and it's just a bunch of bubbles and circles. That's a nice green though. And there's that one. And this one is inspired by a washi I see around a lot. Well, I see on people's projects a lot, but I have not actually seen it like at my local scrapbook store or whatever. So I decided to just make my own, which is another thing that you can do with these tapes. And so I started with Tumbled Glass Distress Stain, and then I stamped a text border in white, and then I'm taking that same little tiny heart from Hero Arts, and I'm just going to stamp it all over in a random pattern. And the key for me to getting a random pattern is to stamp some off the edge, stamp some close to each other, and also to sort of stamp in a triangular pattern, and that will keep it from looking too perfect. And then what I'll do when I'm done with my first pass is I'll go through and fill in areas that I think don't have enough hearts. And I'll do some half hearts and things of that nature. And this is my favorite one of the ones that I made tonight, I think. Although that pink wood grain is pretty cool. So now I'm going to do an Argyle. And I'm going to use that same My Mind's Eye Miss Caroline stamp set. And I'm going to stamp it first once in the White Daisy Close to My Heart ink, all the way down the strip. And then I'm going to clean the stamp and come back through with a pink. This is the Rouge again. And I'm going to offset it and stamp the pink on top of the white in between. And that's going to give me kind of a faux Argyle look. It's not a perfect Argyle, but it's pretty close for just a little bit of stamping. And now I have my white polka dot on craft. So this is from an Art Warehouse journaling stamp set I have. It's just a bunch of dots really close together. And I'm going to stamp it in the white daisy ink over the brushed corduroy stained tissue taped. And that's going to give me a nice white on craft look. And this is a nice tight polka dot. So again, you may find cool stamps for making your own tape in unexpected places. That was from a journaling set. So I might not have expected to find something there, but I definitely did. So let's recap. I have created all of these tapes from one really small piece of tissue paper, really. I have tons of different looks, tons of different color schemes. They can match any project I need, and I hope you try it.